Hey everyone and welcome back to Final Fantasy XIV, where today it is time at last to finish the Crystal Tower raids. We're finally here. I have been excited for this for months. Let's get started today with our daily minion roulette. And we have a tiny rat. Hello there, rat. Alright then, let's get started by speaking to Rambros. I believe we spoke to everyone else at the end of the last quest, so we should be fine on that. Rambros has a furrowed brow and the look of one with ill tidings. Hello, Rambros. It's been a few months, a few moons. How's the investigation going? Ah, Satora, it is good you are come. I have news you must be made aware of. Alas, none of it bodes well for us, nor for Unei, Doga, and Nero imprisoned in the Dark Realm. Think back upon our last foray into Cerberus Tower, if you will. The calamity stirred the place from its long slumber and awoke Emperor Xandi. But you, Cerberus, you ensured he was laid to rest permanently. Yet the Emperor had sealed a binding covenant with a terrible void state known as the Cloud of Darkness. Even as Doga and Unei labored to annul this contract, the entity reached through a rift and dragged the pair of them, and Nero, out of our realm. Since that day, Noah has devoted itself to rescuing Unei, Doga, and Nero from beyond the rift. Our research, however, has exposed a far more dire problem. The Crystal Tower still acts upon Emperor Xandi's orders and collects energy to open another void gate even as we speak. Indeed, the place nigh hums with energy. We have done all we can to stop the Imperial Edict, but to no avail. Just as the gate would only open for Unei and Doga, so too will the tower heed only those with the royal blood of Allag. 'Tis the most galling design. Granted, this was not always so vexatious, according to the elegant tombstone Nero presented us. During the Golden Age of Allag, the royalty had some means of bestowing their blood upon others. If they hadn't such a technology, Amon and his underlings could never have controlled the Crystal Tower. But we do not have either this art or any with royal blood. Every moment we wait, a vast rift through which the Cloud of Darkness can enter our realm threatens to open. Such a disaster cannot be allowed to come to pass. We must seal the Crystal Tower and annul Xandi's covenant with the Dark Realm. If only breaking the ladder would suffice, but then what is the energy building in the Crystal Tower? Without suppression, that power could discharge and cause a calamity like to the one that destroyed Allag. In truth, we have more than just 3 lost compatriots to worry about. If we do not act, our very world will fall before the might of this threat. Okay, we've got another umbral calamity on the horizon then. We know but one way out of this predicament. Rescue those who can control the tower from beyond the Dark Realm, and seal the rift shut after them. And mercifully, not all our news is quite so bleak. 'Tis true we cannot stop the void gate from manifesting within the tower, but this can be to our benefit. We can use Cerberus's power for our own purposes and create a portal to carry us into the Dark Realm. That sounds like an interesting plan. It'll at least let us track them down. We have heard this is possible from a man of the Thaumaturge's Guild, well versed in otherworldly matters. And with Master Garland working to create said portal, the final preparations are well underway. Ah, and here comes the man himself. Satora, just the woman we need. Yes, our fellowship is indeed complete, and all parties privy to our strategy. And you, Master Garland, how fare your endeavors? Quite well, the device is nearly ready, though attaching the damn little thing to Cerberus Tower took every ounce of ingenuity the Ironworks has got. But it should produce the energy we need. With just a little more fine-tuning, we can open a rift. I'm here to request your presence at the tower. I'll leave Biggs and Wedge at the 8 Sentinels as guides. And do hurry, Satora. I'm sure you wouldn't miss another chance to save the world, would you? Alright, I will meet you up there. Well, Cid certainly seems to have a firm hand on the helm. Shall we make our way to the Crystal Tower? Sounds good to me. Though before we head out, I need to go switch into my combat gear, it seems. Since it sounds like we're gonna be going to war. Alright, also before we head out, I do want to check in with everybody real quick. Time is of the essence, my friend. We must go to the 8 Sentinels. You are nothing new. You are not gonna tell us anything new. Naturally, Biggs, Wedge, and Cid are already out. So I guess Rambros. I have added your observations and findings to the Crystal Tower survey log. The information contained therein will be available to you at all times except when I have a new quest to give you. Should you have any questions, you need to only ask. Alright then. So, the 3 new entries, Unei and Doga. Ah yes, our noble comrades Unei and Doga. Let us review the events surrounding their appearance. Having secured path through the Labyrinth of the Ancients, the Fellowship of Noah next sought to explore Circus Tower. However, their progress was frustrated by the most mundane of security measures, a gate that refused to open. Impervious to all damage, the imposing gate was sealed by a mechanism whose workings confounded even the Fellowship's brightest minds. As they struggled in vain to solve the puzzle, 2 mysterious strangers, a man and a woman richly garbed in elegant fashion, arrived to offer their aid. Doga and Unei were their names, and they later revealed themselves to be clones, identical copies of people created thousands of years ago as part of an experiment to resurrect Xandi, the founding father of the Allegan Empire. The individuals from whom they derived their existence were of Xandi's lineage. Likewise named Doga and Unei, the pair were said to share myriad distinct traits with their revered forebear. Among these traits were the eyes of Sanguine, known as the Royal Eye. In addition to being royalty, they were skilled mages in their own right. Doga could wield powerful spells both extant and lost, while Unei possessed the rare ability to manipulate dreams. When Emperor Xandi returned from the grave, they initially supported his second ascension. However, it soon came to light that the Emperor was consorting with darkness. Fearing what might befall the world, they sought to put an end to his madness. In the event that they should fail, they left the key by which future generations may carry on their mission. That key is none other than the 2 clones who came to Noah, in whom they imbued their will. By virtue of the royal blood that courses through their veins, they were able to open the gate that had barred the Fellowship's entry into Circus Tower. Next up, Circus Tower itself. You wish to learn more about Circus Tower? Very well, let us review such data as we have on hand. The Crystal Tower is comprised of a multitude of spires. Rising high above them all is Circus Tower, the heart of the majestic structure. It must be noted that the name Crystal Tower originated as a sobriquet. Ordinary Allegans coined the term, which over time came to refer to the collective structure. Although the tower is referenced in various ancient scriptures up until the end of the 6th Astral Era, the scholarly community largely doubted its existence. Aside from Professor Eric, it had scant few proponents. God damn it! Fuck you, Eric! No! You're not allowed to be right! You suck in every way! God! Oh god, if you haven't seen those, Eric is the monk quest giver, and he is miserable. He is a piece of shit. He's very jaded, due to personal trauma, but it doesn't justify his assholery. How is it possible that such a colossal structure could be kept hidden from mankind and for so long? The answer is to be found amidst the ruins of the 4th Umbral Calamity, which took the form of a great earthquake. During the final years of the Allegan Empire, the Lesser Moon Dalamud harvested the sun's energy, which it then transferred to Circus Tower below. However, that energy proved too much for the tower to contain. It escaped into the land, causing the Earth to collapse into itself. In mere moments, the Allegan Empire was laid to waste. Yet even as the Crystal Tower was sinking, Emperor Xandi's most trusted aide, the technologist Amon, invoked powerful magics and halted the flow of time within the structure. The tower and its denizens fell into a deep slumber. 3 eras later, when Dalamud began its descent, the Crystal Tower stirred to wakefulness. Shortly thereafter, the cataclysmic arrival of the 7th Umbral Era saw the tower return to the surface. The Fellowship of Noah ventured into the Crystal Tower, its first visitors in millennia. Awaiting them at the apex was Emperor Xandi, the legendary founder of the Allegan Empire, who had awakened alongside his minions. Finally, Emperor Xandi. Let us turn to the pages which speak of Emperor Xandi. No account of Allegan history may be considered complete without mention of its founding father and first Emperor Xandi. Ancient records that have survived paint the man as a great ruler. By his hand, the Allegan Empire was born, and for more than 1,000 years it flourished. However, the Empire's star eventually began to wane. The selfsame prosperity that made the Allegans great gave rise to decadence. The citizens grew content in their complacency, and technological advance ground to a halt. In a matter of generations, the civilization became a pale shadow of its former self. Lamenting the pitiful state of affairs, the technologist Amon sought to restore Alleg to greatness via an unprecedented method: the resurrection of Emperor Xandi. Amon exhumed Xandi's body from his tomb, situated in what is now known as Mordona, and proceeded to conduct numerous experiments. With equal parts perseverance and ingenuity, he succeeded in bringing the Emperor back to life. So began Emperor Xandi's second reign, 1,000 years removed from his first. Through masterful leadership, he swiftly brought his ailing empire back to the path of greatness. Even the southern land of Mericidia, which had long defied Alleg, was finally brought to heel. Xandi was a great emperor, it cannot be denied, and ancient records rightly speak of him in reverent tones. However, those selfsame records are silent on the subject of the man's inner workings. Wow, this is a very biased report. Holy shit, this is a very pro-Xandi report. This is fucking elegant propaganda. It has recently been revealed that, ever since returning from the grave, Emperor Xandi was constantly tormented by the memories of his death. Driven by the reasoning that no mind but his own may comprehend, he sought to return all to nothingness. Whatever may have compelled it, Xandi made his choice, and its consequences have been passed down through the annals of history. A lust for power which grew into a desire for nihility, such was the dark seed that brought about the fourth Umbral Calamity. By Xandi's hand the elegant empire was built, and by his own hand was it destroyed. Well, propaganda aside, very thorough report. Not really? Okay, yeah, no. I can't think of anything that's missing from there that I'm aware of. Fun. That's a really, really good recap of everything we've learned so far. Alright then, let me go switch into our combat clothes and then head off to the 8 Sentinels. Alright, we are here at the Crystal Gate just southeast of St. Coinox Fine. Let's head on through and make our way to the Crystal Tower. Also, I have an interesting mishmash of equipment on. I have had a rule for A Realm Reborn's patches that I have not been using my Elegant Tomestones of Poetics to get the catch-up gear that they provide. On the basis that I wanted to get the actual, gear grinding experience of, slowly increasing your item level throughout the story, or throughout the patches. And I'm very happy with that. But we have finally hit the point where we got all item level 130 gear, which is the maximum item level for A Realm Reborn. So I decided to lift that restriction and actually get myself some of the augmented Ironworks gear from Rowena's vendors in various city-states, using my Elegant Tomestones of Poetics. I got a specific, mix of Ironworks and Dreadworm equipped. I've got Ironworks bracelet, one Ironworks ring to go with one Dreadworm ring. I went through all the substats and basically picked out what I felt was a good, kind of almost best in slot option for item level 130. It's not going to be the highest damage build. I did actually focus a bit on Tenacity a little bit, because Tenacity provides a bit of a strength buff, but is more important for the defense buff it provides. I can talk about substats later if desired. But basically, I went for what I felt would be a good kind of best in slot type of build. The best available gear for tanks at this point. And I think going forward, I'm going to somewhat lift the restriction of no Poetics gear. In that, I'm going to allow myself to get Poetics gear, or rather the Tomestone gear that you can get, which is primarily Poetics for us, since that's Poetics goes to catch-up gear, while these two are used for current patch gear. And we're not hitting current patch in ever, probably. Anyways, I'm going to allow myself to get Poetics gear if and only if I am at a point where I would already, if I was going through the game as the patches launched, I would have access to that same item level of gear. So if I am at a point in the patches where item level 130 gear would have become available when it was first being released, I'll let myself buy item level 130 gear. I'm going to lift the restriction just slightly in that respect, just so that, especially as we're doing higher end content, it's going to be really important to have really good substats on your gear. But I can talk about substats later. For now, hello Biggs and Wedge. Has the chief filled you in on the plan, Satora? Opening up that void gate will be a real feat for the Ironworks. But I'm worried about what comes afterwards. I've never heard of anyone going through a rift, let alone coming back. I don't relish the idea of getting stuck there ourselves. Yeah, let's be careful about this. This is definitely unprecedented and dangerous. Satora, I'll bet you're here to watch us pry open a rift between worlds, eh? We're almost ready. Circus Tower is full of engineers scurrying around and making adjustments. We're dealing with a lot of power, and if a single coupling's off, well, boom! But it should be fine, really. Anyway, you'd best wait at the top. The chief's there overseeing the whole operation. My friends, you've arrived. I'm just waiting for my engineers to give the signal. Then we'll see if we can't open a gateway to another world. Is there something amiss, Graha? Ah, Emperor Xandi's throne. How the mighty have fallen, eh? Once it stood as a symbol of Alag's art and power. Now it's nothing more than an empty chair. Just imagine if Alagan civilization had lived on and a just emperor still sat on that throne. How different would our history be? How much further would we have advanced? Unfortunately, there was no stopping Xandi and his ambition. Yeah, that's the risk of any society ruled by a single ruler. If you get a just ruler in charge, it can actually be extremely beneficial and powerful and good for everyone. But if you get a corrupt ruler on the throne, everything falls to shit. And making things even more complicated, what is just and what is corrupt is, unfortunately, a surprisingly relative term to whatever society is measuring. There were those who tried. Xandi's War of Dominion left no one unscathed. Unable to abide the horrors inflicted upon the people, warriors young and brave took up the sword against Alag. These men and women became as beacons of hope to those who had suffered, not unlike the warriors of light in our age. But all of this merely hastened the destruction. Just as they moved towards Alag's heart for the kill, Xandi lashed out in anger and frustration, as trapped beasts are wont to do. In his desperation, Xandi desired that a great rift be opened to hasten the cloud of darkness's coming. To this end, he commanded that the sun's power held within Dalamood be emptied into Circus Tower at once. The act bore terrible consequences. The tower only withstood the blast by flooding the land below with energy. Circus was swallowed by the very earth upon which it once stood. The fourth umbral calamity. I'd learned of its cause from Unei and Doga. I had no idea that rebellion incited Xandi to rashness, though. Your knowledge of Alagan's history is astounding, Graha. Why, a man could study for 2 lifetimes and learn only learn half of what you know. Mayhap. 'Tis strange, though. I cannot seem to remember where I learned such things. Ah, yes. Biggs, are you ready? Ready and raring to open up that void gate, Chief. We reckon when this machine's up and running, she'll be able to float 5 airships the size of the Agrius. So just give us a word and we'll start channeling energy into the tower. Good, then let's get started. Our preparations are complete. Everyone, step away from the throne. Alright, let's see what this machine can do. Now, Biggs. Ah, Rift to the World of Darkness, as Unei called it. Splendid work, Master Garland. We can't break out the mead just yet, the tough part's still ahead. We've broken into the Dark Realm, but the gate's not all that stable. It won't stay open forever, and only a few can use it. I, for one, will remain here to ensure the Void Gate stays open. As will the Sons of Saint Koinak. This rift is our sole path to salvation. If it closes, we are all truly lost. Which leaves Satora, my friend. 'Tis a heavy burden I must task you with, but there are none more able. Pray lead the adventurers beyond the rift. I do not know what awaits you save the cloud of darkness and our 3 comrades, but you must go, for the fate of our world now rests upon your shoulders. Alright. I will do what I can. This is our only gambit, but I have every faith you will succeed. It will be no small feat to return after you have passed beyond the rift. Make sure you are prepared before leaving. Might I have a moment of your time, Satora? There is a matter of import we must needs discuss ere you leave. Alright, before we speak to Graha, ooh, that gloom is spooky. That is a very spooky vibe for what we just did. Before we speak to Graha, you know what, since I brought it up and it's relevant, especially as we get to higher end content, I might as well just discuss it now, how substats work. And I'm going to try and make it really brief. I'm going to try and keep it brief and simple. So, we've got our main stats, strength, dexterity, vitality, intelligence, and mind. Strength affects the strength of most of your jobs. Basically, any physical job is going to be using this. Strength as their primary determination of how much damage they're doing. If you are going to be a ranged melee player, so bards, machinists, dancers, and also ninjas and vipers are going to be using dexterity. Intelligence is going to be your magic potency when you're a DPS, so that's especially your casters, your black mage, your summoners, your etc., pictomancers. And finally, mind is going to be what determines your strength when you are a healer. So these are the 4 stats that you focus on for like your actual, like, what's your base power level going to be when you're fighting enemies. And it's divided up by what specific job you are will determine what will actually determine your strength. Vitality will affect your max HP. Those are going to be our primary stats. Our substats are critical hit, determination, direct hit rate, skill speed, spell speed, tenacity, and piety. How these work. These largely, these 3 are going to be extra damage on your overall damage output. We'll talk about them in a moment. Skill speed and spell speed are going to affect your global cooldown timer. The higher your skill speed, the faster your global cooldown for physical attacks. So if you're melee or ranged or ranged DPS or a tank. While spell speed is going to affect your GCD cooldown time if you are a caster, so caster DPS or healers. These 2 are very, very sensitive. It's actually, a lot of people actually recommend you don't touch these unless you have a very specific reason to. And I actually kind of agree with that, but I think people overstate how bad it can be. When you're doing high-end content in particular, you have a very specific rotation of your abilities you're using. And if you change your skill speed or your spell speed, and therefore change your global cooldown time, it will actually kind of change it'll change how fast you go through your global cooldowns. And as a result, it will also change kind of how the rotation works. And if you're not targeting very specific skill speeds or spell speeds, it can actually really throw everything off and make all of your abilities start to clash with each other. Not just like it doesn't flow as smoothly, but they actually start to it gets so janky that they actually start to clash. Skill speed and spell speed need to be handled with deliberate intent. They are very good, but they're very risky. You need to know what you're doing before you actually go and adjust your skill speed or spell speed with whether it's with equipment or with materia. Tenacity is going to be a very, very controversial stat. It's only applicable to tanks. What it will do is it will increase your damage output, but more importantly, reduce the amount of damage you take. And it's a passive reduction in how much damage you take, so it will generally increase your defense. A lot of people hate tenacity, but as of Dawntrail, it actually got buffed significantly, so to the point that, it's still not as good as other substats, and you probably, if you're going for damage output, you don't want tenacity. But for most people, if you're playing tank and you're in a situation where you're doing high-end content and you're just taking a little bit too much damage, higher tenacity is going to be helpful. It's generally more important to learn the fights and learn how to use your mitigations and dodge attacks, but tenacity is definitely a very useful stat to have on hand, and it doesn't reduce your DPS nearly as much as it used to. I'll go into exactly how tenacity, crit, determination, and direct hit work in a moment. Piety only affects healers, and it basically affects your regeneration rate for your mana, your MP. Piety is very much a stat where it's a good stat, but you probably shouldn't adjust it unless you're in duties and finding that your piety just actually isn't high enough. Like, if you're actively running out of MP, you put more piety on through materia or different gear. If you're not running out of MP, you don't need any more piety. It's very much a you either have enough or you don't stat. But if you feel like you're a healer and you are running low on MP a lot, piety is going to be a good stat to increase. Now for the actual damage increasing stats that most people focus on. Critical hit, determination, direct hit, and tenacity. Tenacity only affects tanks, the other three affect everyone. I'm going to horribly oversimplify this. Things I'm going to skip over are the fact that these actually increase your strength in tiers, so you're going to need a certain number of points in order to have an effect on your damage output. Those tiers are pretty small though, so it doesn't usually impact most people. Critical hit is going to be by far your most powerful stat, by far, because increasing your, so critical hit will have two factors associated with it. Your critical hit rate, which is how often your attacks are going to do critical damage, and your critical hit bonus, which is how much extra damage you're going to do from a critical hit. Both of those are increased in a linear fashion by the critical hit stat, which means your critical hit rate actually has a quadratic effect on your strength. So doubling your critical hit, arguably, it's not quite exactly this clean, but doubling your extra critical hit stat that you get from gear and materia will quadruple the effect of critical hit on your damage, which is just incredible. It's incredibly powerful. You basically always want to prioritize critical hit as much as possible. But if your critical hit is maxed out on your gear, the next things to look at are determination, direct hit, and if you're a tank, tenacity. All of these roughly increase your damage linearly. Determination and tenacity, the more you have, the more damage you do, just flat out. It's a linear increase to your damage, the more you have. With tenacity being far weaker and determination being far stronger. Direct hit rate is, if you get a direct hit, you will do 25% more damage flat out. Your direct hit stat will affect specifically how often you get direct hits. There are some jobs where you can get guaranteed direct hits, and if you are getting a guaranteed direct hit, your direct hit stat will actually just become more determination stat, which is really, really handy. Direct hit is actually very powerful on those jobs for that reason. So, in general, order of strength, determination is going to have the biggest impact on your overall damage output, not counting critical hit. In terms of these three, determination, direct hit, tenacity. Determination is going to be best. Direct hit's second best. It's only slightly behind determination. It really is very, very close to being as strong as determination. And on any job like warrior, which has guaranteed direct hit's going to be better, just because in addition to increasing your direct hit rate, during those guaranteed direct hit windows, it's also going to act as extra determination for an extra flat increase to your damage. And then tenacity is going to be the weakest, but it's actually not as far behind as people think it is. It's it's about, I want to say it's 20% weaker than determination. 30%, I need to actually do the math to be sure. Which sounds like a lot, but when you actually go in and look at the calculations, the difference in DPS if you swap your determination, which is the strongest out of these three linear stats, to tenacity, the difference is 0.2, 0.3% DPS loss. It's very, very small. It's way smaller than you would expect, given how much people hate tenacity. And you get that loss in exchange for a nice boost to your defense. Hopefully all that explanation made sense. Summarized, critical has a quadratic effect on your damage output, while these three, determination, direct hit, tenacity, have a linear increase on your output overall. Just to oversimplify it horribly, the description's not incorrect. It's just very simplified. With determination being strongest, direct hit close behind, and tenacity far behind, but not so far behind that it's not worth having. If you need extra defense, tenacity is definitely worth having. Anyways, that is my attempt to explain substats. I hope to God that made sense. I am praying to the 12 that made sense to people. If it didn't, don't worry. Just priority order is going to depend on your job. Critical hit's best, tenacity's worst, and then determination, direct hit are pretty close together, in the middle. Alright, Grahatia, what do you have to talk to us about? Satora, I wish to speak to you about my eye. As you are no doubt aware, 'tis a trait seen only among Salican royalty. Long have I pondered why such is my inheritance. This sanguine hue must have some bearing upon my destiny. This much Doga himself admitted, but what? In truth, the more I learn of the Crystal Tower, the less I am myself. Somehow, meeting those two clones has wrought great change in me. I am consumed with remembering something ancient but ever so important. And my father's words echo in my mind, the selfsame ones his father told him. The truth of our eye rests with Alag. Mayhap what I wish to remember in these words are related. Mayhap not, but I know I must learn the truth that history hides from me. I would see this journey, our journey, through to the very end with mine own two eyes. So I implore you, allow me to join you beyond the rift. You can. I'm more than happy to take you with me. You have my thanks, my friend. Now, let us venture into the world of darkness to save our comrades and our realm. Alright, just need to gather our allies then. The world of darkness is now accessible. Alright, one last thing before we cut away to gathering our allies. I'm so excited for this. Roleplay information for Satora. This is very relevant to her character. She is at this point dating Grahatia. They have been dating for months, they have had sex, they have been having a great time together. Graha is very troubled. You okay, buddy? Literally Satora's boyfriend? Are you okay? Please talk to us a little bit more than that. Anyways, I'll be back soon with my allies as we head into the Crystal Tower. Not just the Crystal Tower, heading beyond the rift into the world of darkness. Alright, we actually had to resort to a party finder a lot earlier than I had hoped this time. We had a lot of last minute dropouts for some reason. Unfortunate, sometimes people's schedules just don't line up, it's fine. Anyways, while we're waiting for our last person to join in through the public party finder, in the twilight of his reign, the first and last emperor of Alexandres desired power above all else. He turned to the terrible being known as the Cloud of Darkness, a ruler of the Void, and asked of her strength to make the world kneel before his throne with a covenant of blood. When Xandi was slain, his ambitions were laid to rest alongside him, yet the Cloud of Darkness still seeks to enter the material realm, and will soon find passage through the Void Gate set to manifest within Circus Tower. With the fiends coming, can the Fellowship of Noah brave the Void and rescue the three souls able to stem the Cloud's flood of shadows? Or will the expedition itself vanish beyond the rift in the world of darkness? I suppose we'll find out. Give me just a minute. We've got our full alliance. Let's go ahead and give a quick shout out to everyone in chat. And let's head in, double checking. Minimum item level, Silence Echo. Confirm, World of Darkness, let's go. And thank you so much to everyone who joined us through the public party finder, and of course to all of our friends who joined us. Who joined us through the pre-scheduling that we did for the past month and a half. It is really hard to organize 24 people, it turns out. Alright, let's get started with the World of Darkness. Actually, a really pretty area. I really like the aurora that apparently exists here. Alright, starting off and heading onwards to our first fight. We've got a standard 3 trash pack pull to start out, 3 Garms. We're going to be doing B in the middle, A on the left, C on the right. As soon as the tanks get their stances up and get those Garms separated. In standard runs of this, people tend to just lump all the Garms together and AoE them down, but that actually is not a great idea, even in regular synced content. They have some nasty AoEs that freeze people, and it can get really hard to dodge if they're all lumped together. But while we're doing this, there are also just giant AoEs that will do massive void damage. they're basically just standard chimeras. They can freeze people. We've got those giant circle AoEs to watch out for. I didn't notice anything too difficult with this. Once they're all down, we have a two-headed dragon that spawns. I don't remember any particular mechanics with you. It is simply a dragon with big cleaves. Alright, so looks like we got one mechanic to watch out for, Ball of Fire and Ball of Ice. Looks like it targets random players, not sure who. Unfortunately, the guides online that I have access to, or that I am aware of, don't actually list the trash pack mechanics since they're not nearly as complicated as the bosses themselves. But yeah, it looks like it'll just target a random player. Looks like it could be DPS, could be healer. I'm not seeing a pattern beyond that. Beyond not the main tank, and toss a Ball of Fire or a Ball of Ice at them, which will do corresponding damage. I assume Ball of Fire will inflict burns and Ball of Ice will freeze you in place. Moving forward, we have, I want to say this is the first boss. Yes, we have the Angra Mainyu. Alright, this boss is interesting. It's got some really interesting mechanics to it. First off, we will see a glowing light on the floor. One of four different panels will be lit up at a time, and it will slowly move around the arena. You want to keep an eye on where which panel is lit up. That will be important later. Occasionally, Angra Mainyu will split the floor into a white half and a red half. If you stand in the white half and it goes off, you'll get the white debuff. If you stand in the red half and it goes off, you'll get the red debuff. These stack. If you get too many stacks, you will die. So what you do is you switch from red to white to red to white, because the white debuff overwrites the red debuff and the red debuff overwrites the white debuff. So just alternate which color you're getting in order to prevent yourself from getting too many stacks. Eventually, this will start happening. 4 final hourglasses will spawn and a spinning AoE will appear. We want to kill those final hourglasses as quickly as possible. The longer they are up, I want to say the faster the AoE will spin. And eventually, the AoE will simply just explode and kill you, and if it's moving too fast because the final hourglasses took too long to die, you won't have enough time to get out. Now, the boss does have a gaze mechanic. If you are looking at the boss when the gaze goes off, you will get Doom effect on you. Doom, we have seen before, if you leave it up for too long, you will die. Once it expires, you will die. Hop onto whichever of the circular panels is glowing, and that will expire. Alright, we've got a second round of the split vision, or double vision is what it's called. I went on to red this time to clear out my white debuff. We also have 2 attacks, level 100 Flare and level 150 Death. If you are familiar with classic Final Fantasy mechanics, you might actually know exactly how these work. If the sum of the people within the AoEs, take all the people within the AoE corresponding to either level 100 Flare or level 150 Death. If the sum of the levels of the players in that circle equals the level specified, the attack will take effect. If the sum of the levels is not equal, the attack will not take effect. So, level 100 Flare, if there are an even number of players within that AoE, they'll be tethered to whoever is being targeted. If there's an even number of players, then their total level will be a multiple of 100. It'll be 100 for 2 players, 200 for 4 players, 300 for 6 players, etc. If it is a multiple of the level 100, then you will take massive... everyone in that circle will take massive damage. So effectively, what you're trying to do is make sure for level 100 Flare, make sure an odd number of players are being tethered, are within the AoE range and being tethered to each other. Level 150 Death is very similar, but you will die if you fail the mechanic. If the total number of players in the circle is a multiple of 3, so that means their total level will be 150, 300, 450, etc. If the total number of players in the circle is a multiple of 3, everyone in the circle dies. So make sure that it is not a multiple of 3 within the circle, and you'll be fine. Alright, I believe that is about it for Angra Mainyu's mechanics. The only things to really worry about are... there's also ads to worry about. I would say the main things, just to keep it really simple and summarize. Everyone get out of level 100 Flare. Everyone get out of level 150 Death. That will solve the mechanic for both of them. When roulette hops up, just focus on the final hourglasses. Those should be priority 1. If ads pop up, focus on the ads. And if Angra Mainyu is using a gaze, look away. If you fail that and get doomed, stop in the glowing circle to save yourself. And finally, alternate between red and white debuffs in order to protect yourself from being instantly killed by having too many stacks. Alright. I think that should just about cover all of Angra Mainyu's mechanics. Moving on. To the next trash pack, I believe. Alright, this trash pack, people tend to really just not know how this one works in standard runs, and it is a 50-50 chance on whether that'll screw over the party. So we're gonna go over how it works, and I beg you to actually do it properly. Especially in normal runs, not just in mine, do it correctly on normal runs, I beg you. We have Queen Scylla here, who is the same model as, oh god, what was her name? The first boss in Circus Tower. I'm forgetting her name, I am so sorry. After a little bit, there will be a series of forbidden gates that spawn on either side of the arena. Alliance A is going to take the north half of the arena, and Alliance C is going to take the south half of the arena. Kill all of those forbidden gates. If you take too long to kill them, they will start summoning Thor. They will summon Thor, the god Thor. Fun! We don't want that to happen, so kill the gates. Prioritize them. Once Scylla is dead, there will be a treasure box in the middle of the arena. Open it and Zandy's clone will pop out. And it'll be... It's Zandy again. He's much weaker. There will be another round of portals that we need to kill in order to prevent more Thors from showing up. But it's Zandy again. He's just a little bit weaker, especially since the item level is higher here. He's been downgraded. He's been downgraded to just a regular trash pack boss. But yeah, he does have basically all of his mechanics. A lot more of them are interruptible now. Ancient Quagga especially is interruptible, which is really nice. Once he's dead, once all the portals are gone and any ads that have spawned are gone, we can move on to the second boss. I am really proud of whichever alliance used the ranged DPS limit break to help kill the portals. That is an incredibly smart move, and you should do that. Five-headed dragon has a lot of mechanics, a lot of elemental mechanics. So I'm going to read off the console games wiki to help me with this. First off, we've got a white breath for frontal cleave that should only be hitting the tank, so just don't get in front of the boss. Might be a good idea for the tank to pull more towards the north edge of the arena, but I failed to do that. Let's see. So, several AoEs exist in this fight. First off, Ice Floor will drop an icy AoE on the floor, and it will expand if it hits a player. And if it hits a player, it will also freeze them in place so they can't move. Don't touch the AoE. You will make everyone's life much more miserable. Don't touch the ice AoE. There are poison slimes that can spawn. They need to be killed ASAP to stop them from joining together. If they do join together, they can cast silence on the entire raid. Don't do what I'm doing here. I fucked up. I fucked up really badly. Main tank, do not join the sack. Main tank does not need to join that sack. It is not a dangerous sack. Only like 2 to 3, maybe 5 people need to hop on the sack. You don't need too many people. So main tank, stay out, or you're gonna cleave them with White Breath. Alright, we have Discordance coming up. When Discordance starts to happen, we'll be able to attack all 5 of the dragon's heads. We need to kill all 5 of the dragon's heads. And if we don't do that in time before Discordance goes off, we will wipe the raid. It will do massive damage, you're gonna die. So kill all 5 heads before Discordance goes off, and we are good to go. Anyways, back to the poison slime. So kill them before they join together. If they join together, they'll cast silence on everybody, and that will be miserable. When you kill them, they burst into poison resistance buffs. And wherever they spawn, there will be a puddle of slime left over. At least one person needs to stand in the puddle to prevent more slimes from spawning and turning into a toxic slime. Okay, so basically, summarizing that, kill a slime to get the poison resistance buff, then if you have the poison resistance buff, hop in the slime puddle to prevent more slimes from spawning. Got it, that makes sense. But yeah, the stack marker, you don't need too many people in it. It does 9,999 damage split between everyone in the puddle, so 3 to 5 players is generally going to be sufficient. The more players in, the less damage everyone will take, and it'll be easier on the healers. But it's not too urgent that everyone gets in, and main tank should stay out. I am also seeing, on the mechanics list, Red Bird Tether attaches to a player and inflicts a debuff. This player needs to run and touch another player before the debuff kills them, and this will pass the tether off to the other player. Got it. So that kind of sounds like some Binding Coils mechanics, actually, where you'll get a debuff, and then the boss will try and attack whoever has the debuff, and if you pass the debuff off in time, the attack won't kill you. Fair enough. Finally, Heat Wave will happen when the boss gets pretty low on health, and this will inflict Pyretic, the first instance of the Pyretic debuff in the game. I'm actually surprised it shows up in A Realm Reborn. I did not realize. There's Redbird Tether over there on the right. So Pyretic. What will happen with Pyretic is every single action you use while the Pyretic debuff is up will deal a bunch of damage to you. There are 2 ways to solve it. 1, have enough health that you don't need to worry about taking damage. Solution 1B is the healers just heal you through it. And solution 2 is you stop attacking or using actions until Pyretic is gone. You're probably going to be fine. You're probably not even going to see it in this boss in most polls, since it'll only when the boss is low on health. And the boss is going to die probably too quickly to even use it for most runs. But if it does pop up, just like, you can either hold back for a few seconds until Pyretic is gone, or let the healers just do their best to keep everyone alive. And don't forget you have Second Wind if you're a melee DPS, or I think even ranged DPS have it. Casters don't, but some casters do have mitigations that can help. It shouldn't be too dangerous of a mechanic, though. Moving on to the third trash pull. This is actually one of my favorite trash pulls, and this is a really fun trash pull. This has some interesting mechanics. So, you are going to want to split your into 3 alliances. A takes left, C takes right, B takes middle. It's the standard split. Please split properly or you're going to screw yourself. You want to be with your party. What we have is 3 Atomos. 3 Atomos that we need to fight. Occasionally, the Atomos will target someone and consume them, and then spit them back out. What we want to do is, whoever is marked, everyone needs to stack together. Whoever is marked to be consumed, like Tempest just was, wants to go to the other side of the boss, so they are the only one who gets actually consumed by the attack. Then everyone needs to get away from the big cleave the big cone AoE that's about to come, because if you get hit by that cone AoE, you're gonna go flying off the edge of the arena and down here. You can hop back up if one of the neighboring parties activates those jump pads for you. You may have seen there's a little light portal, lit up panel on the upper floor. That occasionally appears. If you step on that, that will activate the jump pads for a neighboring party. There's ads that spawn, just kill them. And yeah, be sure to stay on top of activating those portals for there's those jump pads for other parties. There is also a big knockback ability, Shockwave. If you are standing on the purple puddle directly beneath the Atomos, Shockwave should not knock you far enough back to throw you off the edge, but you can also use Surecaster Arm's Length to protect yourself as well. We're just repeatedly killing the Atomos until they're all completely dead. They will take multiple kills in order to fully go away, and then we can move on to the next boss. And this is a fun one. This boss has a classic mechanic, or a classic strategy that everybody knows by heart. Adds, bellies, chains. Alliance A deals with adds. Alliance B deals with the belly, and Alliance C deals with chains. And we have something special here. I actually got another friend's perspective of this fight so we could see multiple perspectives, and we'll check that out when we get to it. So, we're going to be starting out. You do not want to stand in front of or behind the boss unless you are the tank and standing in front. If you're standing behind the boss, there's a good chance you'll get hit with a tail whip, which will inflict blunt resist down on you. And if you're in front of the boss, there's a good chance you'll get hit with slashing resist down, which makes you very vulnerable to those claws. Be careful of that. There's not too much to worry about at first, but eventually a few adds will start spawning. Specifically, we're looking for the mechanic Thrashing. Right here, where it breaks its chains and breaks free. We're in trouble now. So, a few things are going to spawn. First, a gastric orb will spawn somewhere. We want to stand next to it. Alliance B wants to stand next to the gastric juice orb and get hit by it. Getting hit by gastric juice will inflict you with mini. You are now tiny. The next thing you want to do is find the big purple AoE on the ground. Hop in that, and you'll be paralyzed, and the boss will eat you. If you are mini from the gastric juice, you'll end up in the boss's stomach. If you are not mini, you'll die instantly. Alliance B is the only alliance that should be going in here. Everyone else will be staying out and dealing with the boss. For Alliance B, who goes in here, your job is to kill the stomach walls ASAP, as quickly as you can. If you take too long, you will be digested and you will die. And so long as you have... as long as Cerberus is free of his chains... he's getting a stacking buff that will make him faster, hit harder, more dangerous. He will kill you if you are not fast enough. By destroying the stomach wall, you cause a massive stomach ache for Cerberus, so he collapses, which allows Alliance C to do their thing. While Alliance B is in here dealing with the stomach, and finally escaping, Alliance A is killing the ads. Let's see. Switching over to our friend Averon's perspective to see what was happening while we were inside the boss. But yes, Alliance A is dealing with the ads, specifically the Wolfsbane ads, as they are very dangerous. They have a big poison cleave effect that can really slaughter you if you leave them up, so kill those ads ASAP. Alliance A's focus is on the ads. Alliance C is sticking onto Cerberus. Alliance C, you're the ones who are fighting Cerberus, keeping its attention, and doing as much damage as you can to continue the fight. Alright. Once, eventually, Cerberus's belly is destroyed and he has a massive stomach ache, which should be any moment now. I want to say about 20 seconds. But once Cerberus has a stomach ache, they will collapse to the ground, the rest of the party will hop back out, and we can begin Alliance C's job, which is chains. Give it just a moment for us all to get back out. Oh, Jesus Christ, that was a dash. Alright. Cerberus has collapsed. We have destroyed the belly inside the belly. Once Cerberus has collapsed, that is an opportunity. There are 2 open fetters we can grab at the north end of the arena. 2 people from Alliance C want to grab those fetters and drag them to... grab the chains from the north end of the arena and bring them to the open fetters on Cerberus. You're going to be attaching the chains to Cerberus, re-chaining Cerberus, and preventing the buff from stacking further, allowing us to resume the fight and hopefully not get absolutely annihilated by Cerberus. That is effectively all of the mechanics in this fight. It is a really fun fight, actually. I love it. Now, modern strategy in a regular run of this, you're probably going to see everyone in the belly strategies, and people will come up with various haha funny jokes about what the different alliance letters stand for. All in the belly, belly time, climb in the belly is what I usually see. Just because with modern gear, you are powerful enough that you're not too worried about Cerberus and Wolfsbane being too out of control outside the belly. So it's actually a lot faster to just send all the DPS get in the belly, destroy the belly ASAP, and then you can skip the entire ads phase. But with mine, it's not quite so viable. You're not quite fast enough for that, so you are going to have to deal with the ads, and you need people out and dealing with the ads and with Cerberus. Also, I think if you go, I assume if everyone hops in the belly, then you're going to wipe. I think I assume he will just digest you and kill everyone. But I've never seen anyone with every single person get in the belly, so I can't actually confirm that. I don't want to test that. That's way too much effort to test. But I assume there has to be some form of punishment for... oh, got it. Actually, I just found a note on Console Games Wiki. If there are fewer than 5 living players outside the belly, Cerberus will immediately eject all players inside him without collapsing. So yeah, you have to have people outside the belly. And because you have to have people outside the belly and those ads are dangerous, it's best to have Alliance A dealing with ads and Alliance C dealing with Cerberus himself. Alright, that makes sense. That makes perfect sense. There's not too many more mechanics to worry about. There's a tail, of course there's a tail swipe that makes you want to not be standing behind the boss. Looks like we have a second belly phase coming up right about here. I did not hop in. I wanted to stay out this time since I already showed the belly. The last mechanic we need to worry about is ululation, which is a roar that causes players who are not near other players to become feared and hysteric for 15 seconds. If you're near other players, you're going to be fine, but if you're kind of off on your own, you'll be given hysteria and you'll be forced to run around the arena in fear and horror, and you won't be able to control yourself, and it sucks. Now then, with that done, moving on to the final boss. Who disturbs the gloom? Ah, mortals from the realm of light. You have not stumbled here without purpose. I am the cloud of darkness. What I do not smother, I devour. What I cannot devour, I destroy. The covenant is everlasting. All mortals before the flood of darkness will sink lifeless into the void. The Cloud of Darkness. Hello, the final boss of Final Fantasy XIII, which the entire Crystal Tower raid is based on. I'm going to make a critical mistake here. I'm going to stand in front of her. Don't do this. I haven't tanked her before, so I didn't realize just how bad it was. But I take a lot of hold stacks from standing in front of her. Alright, so, let's see. I'm just going to read off the Console Games Wiki for a little bit for these mechanics, just to make sure I've covered them all. Cloud of Darkness targets the tank with a powerful auto attack that also deals damage over time, so keep your tank safe. Fair enough. A random player will get targeted with red crosshairs for a faint particle beam. After a few seconds, blasts will start chasing after the target player at running speed, damaging anybody nearby. Each blast adds a vulnerability up debuff, and it kills you quickly if you stop moving. The player targeted should run towards the outside edge of the arena, away from all other players. That is a type of mechanic that will recur more and more frequently as you go on to later into the game. Anytime she moves around the ring, she fires a massive laser, zero-form particle beam, through the center of the arena. When she disappears, immediately move to the sides. This attack will give a vulnerability up debuff. Throughout the fight, she will spawn comets on yellow circle markers. At least one person should stand in each one before the comet reaches the ground, or the raid suffers moderate damage. Several empty comets will wipe the raid. The person in the common area will take a small hit. In other words, only one person should be in each of those yellow circles. You don't need multiple. You need to be a good habit of only one person per comet. If you aren't in that habit, you're gonna screw yourself in later fights. Mid-fight, right here at the point we're at, the floor of the arena will light up and Cloud and Storm ads will start spawning. Kill them before they get close enough for the boss to eat them, or she will wipe us if she eats enough. The clouds can be affected by heavy, but not by bind. If anyone stands between the clouds and the Cloud of Darkness, it will add the heavy effect to the clouds. Heavy is very valuable because it slows them down and gives us more time to actually kill them. After the cloud phase is done, she will do a raid-wide attack. There also tends to be comets that spawn during the cloud phase. After the cloud phase, we'll have our next mechanic, but I want to skip that paragraph real quick. If our raid DPS is very low, thankfully it was not for us, worm ads will spawn around the arena before the cloud phase. Hitting them once or twice causes them to disappear. The worms add many debuffs like Morble's bad breath to anyone standing too close to them. Stay away and let the ranged DPS handle it. You may want to make sure you have assigned people appropriately. You want Alliance B in the center, Alliance A on the left, and Alliance C on the right for this part. After the clouds phase, 3 clouds will spawn, and then anyone standing near them will be trapped in the cage with them. You need your parties to be in the cage with them because the people in the cage are the only ones who can actually attack the clouds. You need to kill all 3 clouds in order to not wipe. It is generally a good idea to, before the fight starts, put markers on the ground to indicate where each alliance will go, but we did not do that. Alright, that is all the major mechanics for Cloud of Darkness, so from here, it is just taking her down. So, let's just enjoy the rest of the fight with the ever more increasingly complicated mechanics. Not that complicated. And let's get out of here. Oh yes, we just have to have a second cloud phase as well. And that clears the Cloud of Darkness and the World of Darkness. Alright, I'm gonna cut back to present day me, and we'll finish up this quest. In just a moment, I think after we roll for loot, we'll do the cut. Lots of loot we can get here. Puff of Darkness minion, mine. Orchestrion rolls, mine. And some more item level 120 gear. Not quite as good as Dreadworm, but still good. Also had to go ahead and take a G-pose. Okay! Oh, wow, that went so much faster than expected. We were done in under 30 minutes. Ooh, that got a little bit dicey in a few spots, but oh, wow, that was fun. Saw a lot of mechanics that, like... World of Darkness is interesting because you normally see basically all of those mechanics during a normal run. But we had to actually deal with them this time, and a few of the mechanics actually were a little bit new to us. Namely, the mechanics you saw towards the end of any of the fights. Wow, that was good, though. That was so much fun. Where in the seven hells are they? Without them to stem the energy in the tower, our defeat of the cloud aids our cause little. Doga, Unei, can you hear me? Nero! Must you be so infernally loud? Are you so keen to attract more void sense? Though I don't blame you for missing my company. Shut up, Nero. Thank the 12, are you alright? As alright as can be expected, Unei has simply passed out. Nero, by the gods, what's happened to you? Alas, his wounds were too deep and allowed this foul place entry to his body. Now the darkness claws at the ether of his very form. Would that we could have protected him. The Cloud of Darkness was bound by Xandi's unholy covenant to bring prosperity to Allegan royalty. The same blood that sealed this contract gives us a measure of protection. I say a measure, for this vow does not protect us from other void scent. The Cloud imprisoned us here precisely to unleash fiends upon us. We would be dead had Nero not defended us so valiantly. In that case, my thanks, Nero. That was very honorable of you. That's surprising. Mistake not my actions for kindness. I have use for you yet in Eorzea, and simply couldn't let harm befall you here. Okay, never mind. I take back my thanks. Where? Unei, you are safe. Our friends have come for us. Have they? Then perhaps, Doga, there is yet hope we may fulfill our purpose. Mortals, you have dared to challenge me and now must feel my wrath. Did you think to destroy me in my realm? Here I am eternal. I will smother your light and entomb your bones amongst my shadows. Are we truly so powerless here? As long as we fight the cloud in this realm, I fear so. And yet, though we may not be able to destroy it, this may be our chance to stop it. If we strike now whilst the cloud can barely hold her form, mayhap we can sever Xandi's covenant. Yes, and raise the bridge between the Crystal Tower and this foul place once and for all. Satora, Graha, you must flee. You and Doga mean to stay here? 'Tis madness, you must return with us. No one but you can save the world from the threat of the Crystal Tower. What is this trickery? Your blood. You too gain protection from Xandi's blood. Grahatia, you are possessed of royal blood. That is why the royal eye runs in your line. 'Tis a gift you have inherited. Graha, you have been granted authority over the Crystal Tower. I had thought time would consume all of Alag that was. That a man should still live with his forebear's blood in this age can be no coincidence. Some person must have planted this gift in your line and used the highest of Allagan technology to do so. True, the Crystal Tower is not like to recognize you as Allagan, not as you are now. But your royal eye bespeaks a simple truth. Within you dwells one feeble glitter that will illuminate all, the light of hope. But how should I use this light? Pray tell me! You must gain control of the Crystal Tower. We will share our blood with you, Graha. Though its effects will be but ephemeral, it will bolster the Allagan presence within you. This is our gift to you, that you may fulfill your destiny. All with the Royal Eye are bound by fate to Allag. Our part in this journey is to bury Xandi's dark ambitions in the past. This was the true Unei and Doga's purpose, one we have carried into the future. Know that as long as this light of hope survives in you, our souls will still remain, even if our bodies are lost. You must leave us as well, Nero. I am sorry we could not live up to your expectations. I must return to you what is yours, though. You dropped it whilst defending us. What you seek by this instrument may not be possible, Nero, but do not give up. There are many other paths that await you. Of course they do. Doga, Unei, I thank you. We shall never forget you. Now, Satora, Nero, let us quit this place. You shall not escape me, impudent children of light! No, you shall not escape us. Here Xandi's blood-stained dreams of glory end. There! The glint of light! It grows faint, then the bridge between realms grows fragile by the Covenant's annulment. If that light dies, we are stranded here. Hurry! Nero, no! You must move! Leave me. I I don't need you. If I die here, it'll be because I bloody well decided to. I failed to master darkness. I'll not suffer watching a green boy master the tower. Do what you will with it, but remember me, son of Alag. I am Nero Tolskeva, the man who will yet outdo Alag and Garland. That was what you hoped to... May the Crystal Tower again be a beacon of hope for mankind. Go, damn you! Must move onwards. This is not where I come to rest. But how did... So those damn clones did it after all. Now onwards. Ah! You owe me, Nero. The hells I do. You are returned unharmed, thank the gods. When that void gate started to close, I had never felt so powerless in all my life. We were running about like madmen trying to keep the gate open, and then the chief went and actually went and dived in. But if you're all safe... Where are Unei and Doga? They're not... I see. I will miss the two of them dearly, but I am happy they fulfilled their purpose. We who live on must still attend to the Crystal Tower, though we now have no one able to seal it. That is not true, my friend. Unei and Doga have entrusted me with their blood. I can now control the Crystal Tower. Graha! Yes, I can see it in your eyes. Good, then let us put an end to this and seal away the tower. I understand your instinct, Rambros, but please give us a moment to rest. I am weary to the bone, and Nero and Satora have both emerged from long battle. Of course, you have the right of it. Come, we shall leave this place for a spell and repair to St. Koinok's Find. No one but you could have succeeded in the world of darkness, Satora. Would that I could have been of more use beyond the rift. As it stands, I was but a vessel for Doga and Unei's blood. Were you able to remember what you were looking for, Graha? Have I remembered what I wished to? Yes, something has come back to me. Gaining royal blood and witnessing true bravery has reminded me of my forebear's dearest wish. But we need not speak of these things now. It was not my place to keep you. Pray go on ahead of me. There is something small I would do before I return. Alright, I'll see you ahead. I could not have asked for a better comrade. If only I could have been part of your adventures for longer, Satora. Alas, fate dictates I have a different role to play. A wish hidden for millennia and brought to light by the good people of Noah. Now, finally, 'tis my time to see it realized. That went way faster than I expected. Also, hi. Hang on. Do I have it pinned? I do not. Sorry, I have to pet my wife real quick. Alright. let's go finish up this quest. Back to St. Koinok's Find, and hopefully we'll see Graha there. Alright, made it back to St. Koinok's Find. Let's report in with everyone real quick, before we finish up the quest. I'll tell you, that rift started closing up fast. Waiting for you three to pop out was the tensest few moments of my life. I'm glad we made it in time. Also, Nero owes you and he hates it. It's very funny. Nero never would have made it back without you, Satora, and for that you have my thanks. I doubt he will hatch any more dastardly schemes for the present. He owes me his life, after all. Are you kidding me? I just saw frames drop. I watched it happen just now. Oh my god. It didn't happen during any of the fighting. They waited until after we were done. Okay, that gives me a slight hint on what's going on. Annoying. No matter how many other clones are still out there, our Unei and Doga were special. I'm gonna miss them. I'm grumpy about the increasing frequency of these frame drops I've been getting. I cannot express how glad I am you returned safely, Satora, and with the means to dispel the threat of the Crystal Tower for good. Rest if you will, and then let us free ourselves from the specter of the Alligans. Indeed. Next time on Final Fantasy XIV, I'm gonna be back in actual regular clothes, and then we finish up the Crystal Tower quest line. I'll see everyone next time for that.